Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode 145. On this second week of May. I trust everyone is doing okay out there. Starting to feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not sure about you. The country seems to be slowly opening up. Hope it doesn't return in a big way, of course, and we can put this all behind us, but I'm not going to get too optimistic, to the point of carelessness. My wife and I still wear gloves when we go out, and we usually wear masks, or if we have to, when we go into a store. Then we use hand sanitizer when we're back in the car. Then we wash our hands when we get home. So we're going to continue that on for a while anyways, just to err on the side of caution. Anyhow, please stay healthy out there, and thanks again for tuning in to Tech It Out. As we've done over the past couple of months on this program, we'll be exploring several tech angles to COVID-19. This week, we're going to touch base with LG to learn about its new dual-screen phone, the V60, and how it can be used to help you get more done in less time. Maybe as you're working from home on this thing. And then after work, it's also great for gaming, as you'll soon hear why. After that interview with LG, and speaking of gaming, we're going to talk with the Entertainment Software Association, the ESA for short, about how games are helping us during the pandemic. After that, are you suffering from Zoom fatigue? Are you sick of being on all these video calls day in and day out and having to look your best and look like you're paying attention, and you have to look and dress nice and your home is maybe judged by your colleagues and such? Well, we're going to learn about a voice-driven 3D avatar that replaces you on platforms like Zoom or Skype or Teams and what have you. It's called LoomieLive. All of this and more on this week's brand new Tech It Out, powered by Asus, which I'll tell you more about soon, but let's kick things off. Can you believe how much has changed in the world since early March? How we work, are educated, how we shop, socialize, that's all gone virtual during the COVID-19 pandemic. And to take advantage of this new normal, you're going to need the right gear. And some devices are more versatile than others, as you'll now hear about the brand new LG V60 ThinQ 5G smartphone that can do some things that other smartphones can't. Joining us on the line to explain is Andrea Candela. She's the LG brand and retail marketing manager. Welcome to the show, Andrea. Thanks for your time.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. Let's dive right in. Working from home has become the new norm, of course. And as a result, many people have to be their own IT expert, if you will. How do you manage the experience yourself?
Well, really good question, Mark. There's definitely a learning curve for working remotely. And even though I work for a great company like LG and have access to some amazing tech, getting everyone connected can be a challenge for sure. I've become the impromptu IT person for friends outside of the tech industry. But I found the best way to keep things moving is to try and make the connection process as simple and as seamless as possible. So building in time for trial and error when working with the new platforms has always helped. Also, when booking meetings or connecting, I've always tried to include video links in emails and meeting notices along with any checklists for logins. And that helps people give the heads up if there's any new apps or platforms that they need to install or get familiar with.
Great advice. And speaking of connectivity, with so many of us having to work remotely, no doubt video calling has become essential. But sometimes it can be hard to keep people focused during a group chat. Any tips or devices that have helped you out?
That's also another challenge that comes to keeping people engaged during virtual briefings. I found you need to get really creative about the platforms and hardware that you use to connect everyone. But when you do get creative, it definitely pays off. Recently, using the dual screen form factor on the new LG V60 ThinQ 5G, I recently hosted a virtual briefing right on the device using both of the screens, actually. So on one side, we hosted some live streamed demonstrations of the new device, and on the other, hosted the presentation and the call. So by using both, we got to provide a virtual hands-on feel of the new device, as well as keep everybody engaged.
All right. So this is a new device that I hinted at in the introduction as well. It's called the LG V60, V as in Victor, 60 ThinQ 5G. So it's a dual screen device. I think it's LG's second dual screen device. So as you may expect, it's actually two separate screens in a case. Is that correct? And then you can do different things on each side, or depending on the application you're in, see everything all on one screen. So it shares the real estate. Is that fair?
That's right, Mark. The V60 is designed to be a multitasking powerhouse. There's multiple things that they could be doing on the two screens without any compromise.
Yeah, awesome. I'll ask you, Andrea, in a moment about some examples of things you could do with that dual screen form factor. But first, so you did say it's called the LG V60 ThinQ 5G. So this is LG's first 5G device.
Absolutely. LG V60 ThinQ 5G with dual screen is LG Electronics' first 5G device. It features lightning-fast speeds, robust connectivity, and it's able to offer tomorrow's phone today.
Right. So 5G hasn't yet rolled out, but you're kind of future-proofing your investment by having 5G already built into the device. So when your carrier flicks the switch, so to speak, it will be ready to go. So it is a 5G device, even though we can't quite take advantage of those speeds yet.
100%.
How does the V60 hold up when it comes to audio and video performance?
Well, it definitely packs a punch when it comes to video and audio. Three of my top favorite features are the unbelievable 8K video. The device is actually able to record an 8K video to capture all of the details with the 8K resolution, which is, as most people would know, 4 times higher than 4K. So you see every little detail in your photography and video. Also, the redefined camera technology that comes with the V60 equips it with a 64-megapixel rear-facing camera, so anyone can shoot super vibrant, high-resolution pictures. And finally, one of my favorite features is the revolutionary audio experience, packable audio capability that gives you features such as the voice bokeh that allows you to zero in on different voices and recognizes and separates them from the background, so sound is much clearer, or the ASMR recording feature as well that takes advantage of the 4 mics housed in the device.
Oh, there's 4 microphones. Wow. We're chatting with Andrea Candela, LG Brand and Retail Marketing Manager, about the new V60 ThinQ 5G smartphone. The ThinQ, just to bring everybody up to speed, is your brand for the artificial intelligence that these devices have, whether it's appliances or smartphones and things like that. That's the ThinQ, if you see that written out. Let's go back now to the dual screen form factor. What could we expect this time around? So it is LG's second dual screen device.
That's right, Mark. We're really excited to introduce the second generation of the dual screen technology. One thing I like to say is dual screen means twice the power. So no matter what you're doing, whether it's texting and talking, watching Netflix and scrolling through Instagram, etc., the innovative form factor of dual screen and the power of 5G together will set the LG V60 ThinQ 5G with dual screen apart from the competition for sure. All
right. And there must be clear benefits for using 2 screens when working from home, which many of us are doing now, or maybe going to school at home with distance learning. Could you give us an example of what you could do with 2 screens instead of 1?
For sure. With dual screen, you're already able to do twice as much. So when you throw in the 5G into the mix, you can get even more powerful and a more efficient device. Some of those benefits include more multitasking. As someone who's always on the move, multitasking is essential to my day. So the LG V60 ThinQ 5G lets me take it to the next level. I can answer emails while managing my calendar, for example. It's definitely more immersive. I know this is going to be a hit with all of my gamer friends just because they can use the LG gamepad to take their games on the go and experience mobile gaming in new ways. And paired with 5G again, less lag on the go. And finally, more content. I'm always trying to get the perfect shot, and now with mirror mode, it's a piece of cake just because it turns my second screen into a viewfinder using the 360-degree freestyle hinge, so I can see the subject on both screens, giving me flexibility to capture an image from a bunch of different angles.
Cool. And you were saying earlier about the gamepad. That's when the second screen acts as a controller, right? Like a left, right, up and down, and buttons to fire or move and that kind of thing, right?
That's right. It'll work with any game that can connect to a Bluetooth controller.
Awesome. As we wrap up, Andrea, the $1 million question is there's lots of phones out there. So what makes the V60 really stand out?
The LG V60 will let you experience the power of that new network immediately. It will also be available through a number of carriers, making it easily accessible to anyone. The dual screen form factor itself as well is another great reason, making the entire device a powerhouse. It's made for multitasking. And finally, the LG second year promise, which is on the LG V60, extending the standard warranty by an additional 12 months. So peace of mind all around.
All right. And where could we pick up this new device and how much does it cost?
So the V60 ThinQ 5G dual screen smartphone can be purchased at retailers for $0 down on select contracts. And in addition to that, for a limited time, people who purchase the device will also receive a free set of LG tone-free wireless earbuds. So there's an added bonus.
Andrea Candela, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Be well.
Thank you, Mark. Hope everyone's staying safe and healthy out there.
When we return on Tech It Out, we're going to catch up with the Entertainment Software Association about how video gaming is helping those during the pandemic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, powered by ASUS, for those in search of incredible. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops, desktops, monitors, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. For many of us having a hard time during the COVID-19 pandemic, we've turned to video games as a bit of a virtual escape, if you will. I mean, just watch the news for 5 minutes and you can see why we may need one. But games are also bringing people together. So it's not just entertainment, but it's connecting with those who matter as we're socializing, even if it's over the internet, chatting with our friends while we're playing together in a game. But you just might be surprised who is playing games and why we're playing, and also the jobs that it creates in this country. So to shed some light on all of these positive aspects of healthy play, we're joined on the line by President and Chief Executive Officer of the Entertainment Software Association, Stanley Pierre-Louis. Welcome to the show, Stanley. Been watching interviews you've done lately. I know you've been busy.
Thank you so much. It's great to speak to you about this really exciting topic of where video games are going today.
Right. At a time where I think we really need them.
We do. One of the things that we've noticed is that video games have never been more meaningful to people than they are today. People from all over the world and all walks of life are staying connected, creating community, and celebrating the joy that video games bring to their lives and the connections that it creates. So I think it's never been more relevant and meaningful to people's lives than it is today.
Agreed. It's one thing to binge watch a great TV series and feel like you're connected to the characters and all that, but there really is something else altogether about interactive entertainment, about being the star of that story. It's so much more immersive, I would argue. And then you layer that on top about the way that we're engaging with each other while playing. My son was just playing NBA 2K with his buddies, laughing and talking at the same time as strategizing, wearing a headset microphone. So it is a type of socializing.
It is. One of the things we know about video games is they do draw people in a very exciting way because you're being challenged, you're building skill sets, you're learning perseverance. So there's a lot about games that's both fun and allowing us to grow while we're playing them. But that aspect of the social connections being made through gameplay is really what's been driving the growth of the industry, especially today when we all find ourselves working, playing, and learning from home. So much of the experience you've expressed about what your son is seeing in those games has been the experience of most Americans and most people around the world. So it's been an exciting time to see how video games not only entertain us, but keep us together. And you're even seeing this phenomenon of athletes playing against each other and being broadcast playing against each other, whether it's NASCAR, the NBA, NHL. You're seeing broadcast versions of this exciting community being played live before us in HD, but in the most beautiful rendition of the world that's out there. So it's exciting to see that entertainment within the context of video games is now being broadcast to a worldwide audience.
Yeah, I love that. Even the WHO is recommending video games as an effective way to deal with COVID-19. Ironically, 1 year after that, they wanted to add gaming disorder to its list of, cautionary sort of notes to parents of gamers. To what do you attribute this about face? Did they just wake up and realize, we were wrong to consider it a disorder and that there's so many positive effects to healthy gaming?
One of the things we've always known about video games is that they connect people in important ways, but they also excite us and draw us in and help us learn. And so we've always been of the view that video games benefit society in a myriad of ways, both on the individual level and on a global level. I think what they saw and what many other people saw was that there was an important audience tapping into video games. And for them to get their stay-at-home message, the video game audience was the most robust among the media field. So if you look at the top 5 things that the WHO talks about, social distancing, washing hands, playing video games is in that top 5. And so clearly they saw that reaching that audience was critical to their growth, critical to their messaging, even at a time when they had previously expressed concerns about video games. We're excited about this turn and applaud every effort that tries to get people to do the right thing in their lives today. But having video games a part of that message, I think is very powerful and helps us extend the value of games, because people are also seeing each other play. They're seeing their kids play. They're starting to play together and they're seeing the value of it. I have an 80-year-old mother-in-law who now plays bridge with her friends online on a daily basis, and that's keeping them together. That's another effort for social connecting, and it also shows the range of people who play video games.
On a similar note, I play Words with Friends with my mom, who's over 80. We each use our smartphone, or I maybe have a tablet in my hand. So it's kind of like Scrabble, but we're also chatting with each other while we're playing. Also sharpens her brain, right, to play these kinds of word games. So you're mentioning the audience. So with that in mind, how has the face of the video gamer changed over the years? I teased in my introduction that my audience may be surprised who is a typical gamer today. Can you talk about some of the findings you've had at the ESA?
Absolutely. We know that people have a perception of what they view a gamer as, but as we start talking about who's actually playing video games, we're seeing that everyone plays games. So we know that 46% of people who play games are women. We also know that there are just as many people over 50 playing video games as under 18. And so it's a population that includes all of us. Right now, 64% of American adults play video games. Over 214 million gamers across all sectors in the U.S., including all populations. And so we know that is a growing group. And we also know that the sector over 50 is growing based on studies by other groups like AARP that have found tremendous growth over the past 3 to 4 years on what they call the silvering of America, that everyone is playing games.
We'll continue our chat with Stanley Pierre-Louis from the Entertainment Software Association when we return on Tech It Out.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We're chatting with Stanley Pierre-Louis. He is the CEO and president of the Entertainment Software Association. That's the ESA. All right, so 2/3 of the American public, or 2/3 of American households, have gamers in them.
That's exactly right. And what people with family members playing games see is that it is a social vehicle. And for kids, it's a digital playground. It's the way that they're connecting with friends, not merely playing on their own, but connecting and developing those skills we talked about earlier about teamwork and about empathy and about perseverance, because you're not just playing to win, you're also playing to collaborate with your friends.
Right. Not to mention problem solving, sharpening your hand-eye reflexes. I mean, there's many other benefits as well. Now, Stanley, you recently launched the first industry brand campaign called Game Generation. Please tell us about that.
We are excited to harness what games bring to everyone in a message around this campaign called Game Generation. Game generation is an opportunity for everyone to talk about how games impact us in a positive way through three pillars. One is the community aspect of video gaming, which has fueled its growth. Another is the inclusivity of games. You have so many different kinds of games, different kinds of people playing games and playing together, building these skill sets we've been talking about. And third is the inspiration that games bring. Today, people probably don't think about it because it's so reflexive, but games are part of everything we do in life. They're part of education. They're part of healthcare. They're part of how we express ourselves. Right now, with everyone at home, they're wondering, how do I educate my kids? How do I enhance online learning? Video games have been playing a role for years in educating today's school population. So you have games ranging from Minecraft, which has an education edition, which has educated more than 35 million kids around the world, to smaller companies like Legends of Learning that have math and science curricula. So games have been part of how we learn and how we function and how we grow. And we wanted to take an opportunity to step back and really celebrate it and invite people to be a part of that conversation. So we launched it in February. We invited people to share their stories. We reached over 400 million people through our earned and social media. And we also had the opportunity to get people to tell their stories. And so far, more than 90,000 people have joined this campaign in some way, shape, or form to share their stories. And so we're excited about the growth that we have, and we want to continue that dialogue because this campaign is about people sharing their stories, because that's the best way to reinforce the value of games, is people sharing their experiences.
Mm-hmm. And I love the diversity in gaming as well. Culturally, there's gender diversity, and also those who have disabilities. You know, the Xbox Adaptive Controller, perfect example of gaming being an inclusive culture.
That's exactly right.
Just as we wrap up, Stan, I know that the video game industry also creates so many jobs contributing to the GDP of the country. Can you talk to us a little bit about the industry, about the development side of things before we wrap?
What we've seen is that people interested in video games end up wanting to learn more about what goes on behind the game, and that fuels a lot of innovation and energy in other sectors. We know, for example, that girls who play video games are 3 times as likely to get a college degree in STEM. They may not go into the video game sector, but they may end up building the next simulation for an airliner. And so we're seeing that the interest in video games has fueled a lot of interest into these other categories. And there are new innovations coming about because of it. So, for example, today when we're all at home and people need to do physical therapy, there are actually video game-based physical therapy apps to help you do your exercises and follow along. And you can change those based on what the patient needs in a very robust way, where you don't need to find the actor to change the scene on a video of some sort. You can do it in the game and in the app. And so more and more, we're beginning to see that video games have fueled so many different sectors, from education to healthcare, and the sky is the limit where video games can lead us.
Indeed. And then the best website to learn more about the work you're doing at the ESA and what's coming next?
Well, you can find out a lot about what we do, including some of our COVID relief efforts, on theesa.com. And you can also learn about the Game Generation campaign at gamegeneration.org.
All right. The ESA.com, and that's Entertainment Software Association, and gamegeneration.org. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Thank you so much, Stanley Pierre-Louis. Always a pleasure chatting with you. I look forward to seeing you in person again one day soon. Thanks so much again. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
So many of our listeners know I write this tech tip of the day on social media. Specifically on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. I write a little hack or a little tip that is easy to apply to get more out of your technology, often ways to save you money or save you time or save you aggravation. Everything from iPhone users shaking their phone to easily delete something, to finding an old Android phone or tablet and using that as a bedside alarm clock or a digital photo frame for your family, to a backup security camera that you can plug in an old iPad or Android device or an old phone, an iPhone or Android phone, and point it to something and keep an eye on it even when when you're not at home. So I want to share a few more of these tech tips that I created last week and posted. One was for those who wear AirPods, those trendy wireless earbuds from Apple. Did you know that they can magnetically stick to the top of a MacBook? That way you won't lose these expensive little earbuds. So as long as your Mac is open, so the screen is open, just take them out of your ears and touch the top of the screen and they'll stay there for safekeeping. You know where they are now and you won't lose them. Just remember to remove them before you close the lid, okay? They're not a strong magnet, so they're not going to impede the performance of the AirPods, nor will they damage your Mac screen. Another tip was for computer users who have a desktop keyboard on maybe a Windows PC or a Mac. And if you use those sticky notes, like those little Post-it notes, before you toss it out, run the sticky part in the cracks of your keyboard and just slide them across. And it's going to pick up dust and little food crumbs and hair and things that you don't realize fall between the keys on your keyboard and can hurt the performance of it. So try that with a sticky note and then toss it out when you no longer need it. A little hack there. One more tip for iPhone users is that you can turn any ebook into an audiobook without having to pay for it. So all you do is you enable what's called Speak Screen, which is an accessibility feature on your iPhone. And all you have to do is on any ebook that you're reading or on any article that you're reading, simply take two fingers and swipe down from the top of your iPhone and it will begin reading the words to you. So you're going to hear a human-like voice. You can adjust the speed. You can change the voice as well, male to female, different accents, and listen to the book. So you can now walk around town while listening to an audiobook, even though it's really a book. And similarly, you can multitask while hearing an article, maybe while you're on the treadmill or what have you, or when you're closing your eyes at night. Anyhow, if you like those kinds of tips, you can follow me on social media for my tech tip of the day. On Twitter, for example, I'm at Mark_Saltzman. That's Mark with a C _ or underline SALTZMAN. And I'm also on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, as I mentioned. Hang tight. There's a lot more tech talk when we return. We're going to learn about a 3D avatar to replace you on Zoom video calls. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out. Hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. This program is powered by ASUS, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. ASUS, for those in search of incredible. Visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. In this new normal we're all living in, many billions of people around the world are now mandated to work from home. And yes, I said billions with a B. And so many of us are turning to video conferencing tools like Zoom to stay connected with face-to-face video calls. But there is now a new option for how you look on these group calls. To elaborate and tell us all about LoomieLive, which just launched, we're joined on the line by Mahesh Ramasubramanian. He is the co-founder and CEO of Loom.ai. Welcome to the show, Mahesh.
Hello, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. In fact, didn't you do these special effects for some hugely successful animated films like Shrek and Monsters vs. Aliens and Madagascar 3? Tell us about that.
Yes, I was fortunate to work on those movies. Before we started Loom.ai, I worked for 15 years at DreamWorks Animation.
Amazing. And
I was a visual effects supervisor there, starting from Shrek and the Madagascar series and most recently Home and Boss Baby. It was a great experience. You know, it allowed me to work on building digital characters and representations for actors and make them very relatable to the audience on screen.
Awesome. And of course, you can leverage that with your work on LoomieLive, which are 3D avatars. But I'll let you explain, please. So at a high level, what is LoomieLive all about?
Yeah, LoomieLive is a desktop product to bring voice-driven 3D avatars into video conferencing. And just to connect the dots with what I had done before, in the past, we would build digital avatars of characters, and those would be pre-rendered. But what we are doing with LoomieLive is giving the ability to have interactive digital representations or avatars that you can drive with just voice.
Right. Okay. So opposed to your work on Shrek and some of these other movies where it was pre-rendered, so it's not live. You actually spent months or years working on these 3D characters. With LoomieLive, this is in real time. These are 3D avatars that you can change what they do on screen so it appears. Since this is radio, I just want to explain that when someone is talking to you over a video platform such as Zoom, instead of seeing you, they see a 3D avatar of you, or you can make it look like someone else altogether if you prefer. But those gestures and the lip syncing and all that is all in real time.
Exactly.
So who would you say it's for exactly, Mahesh? Is this for people who aren't comfortable on camera, or they don't want to reveal what their home looks like to their colleagues?
Yeah, it's for different audiences. So, on one side, it is for people who are in lots of meetings throughout the day, and staring at video grids of people's faces for 5 to 6 hours a day is very strenuous. And there's a term called video call fatigue or Zoom fatigue that people say.
Sure.
That comes from this experience. So it helps to be in a more audio-only mode for people in this category who have lots of meetings. But in addition, it does help the situations you mentioned as well, where you want people to focus on the meeting at hand and not worry about their appearance or how their background looks. And this kind of separates those two. And finally, because it's audio only, you have less bandwidth requirements. So for people who tend to not turn on their video because either the bandwidth is too high or it freezes too often and kind of detracts from your meeting.
Right.
This gives an alternate way for you to be present. So there's audio, there's video, and now we are offering avatars.
Okay, got it. I know it's audio driven, so you don't need to be sitting down in front of your camera. It's not like it's mirroring your actions in real time. But I've seen a video of you online with your colleagues talking, and at one point you give a thumbs up. At another point, one of your colleagues gives a wave to the camera. So how do you do that then if it's not mirroring your physical actions?
Correct. So what we have is we have certain reactions that happen automatically, that is inferred using deep learning. And there are certain reactions that the user can trigger or can drive. And so in the case of a wave or thumbs up, you want to raise your hand or you want to very specifically, say hi, those you would kind of manually trigger a reaction. And then we would play a 3D animation on your avatar. And then on the other end are reactions that are automatically generated. For example, if I was sitting still and listening, our program knows that you're listening and you're not talking, so it will play animation cycles that would make you look like you're listening. And if you went into talking, it would play different animation cycles. And again, depending on the certain voice intonations, we can also change the animation. One of the things we are working on right now, and we'll have it very soon, is the ability to react to laughter. So if you laugh in a meeting, we can recognize laughter and make the avatar laugh. So this is purely from audio. You're trying to figure out what could be something plausible that the person might be doing.
When we return, we're going to continue learning about LoomieLive, 3D avatars for video chatting services. We'll be right back.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We're joined by Mahesh Ramasubramanian. He is the co-founder and CEO of Loom.ai, the company behind LoomieLive, which is spelled LoomieLive. I know that in the future, it could be a real 3D render of you where a passerby may actually look twice and realize it's not you. But at this point, it is pretty cartoon-like, as I said. Is that fair?
Correct. It is. We've done a lot of research in trying to find a balance between recognizability and the ability to be expressive. If you tend to go too real, then you might end up in a little of in an uncanny valley where you expect the movements to be absolutely real, and the other issue is if you make it too real, you get the same sensory overload that you might get from video.
I get it.
So you want to get to a place where it is easy for you to see, it's easy to read expressions. You want to be able to read if someone raised their hand, but and you want it to be very expressive. So by making it a little bit more stylized, that allows your expressions to be bigger than what you might see on a normal face. So a smile might be a bigger smile, and you might be able to play animations that are bigger.
Oh, you haven't seen my smile yet, so it's pretty big. No. So how do you choose what your Loomie looks like? And what's the setup process like before you get going on your platform?
So we offer a mobile app on iOS and Android, which is called Loomie. And that's where we expect people to build their Loomie avatars. So you pick up this mobile app and you take one photograph, and it uses deep learning to give you a good starting point for you to then customize and build an avatar that you like with, the hairstyle you want to use, the kind of the clothing you want to pick. And once you've made your choice in the Loomie mobile app, now your avatar is available in any other application that is integrated with Loomie.
Okay. Got it. You start on the app, and then the platform itself is only for desktop at this point.
Correct. So the LoomieLive is only for the desktop at this time. And we work with other partners on different kind of applications, which could also all use the same Loomie avatars.
Just before we wrap up, we talked about it being only for computers at this point, so laptops and desktops opposed to smartphones and tablets at this point in time. But what platforms, like video chatting platforms, does it work on? And how do you initiate it? Like, let's say someone calls me over Zoom. How do I start the LoomieLive part within Zoom, or do I have to do something outside of it?
Good question. So first off, we right now are available on Mac OS, and we are coming out very soon with the Windows version of our desktop application. Then the other thing is it actually works with every video conferencing application out there. Think of WebEx, Meet, Skype, MS Teams, GoToMeetings, BlueJeans, all of them, including Zoom, of course. And how we have set this up is we have a separate app that you download from our webpage, and you have LoomieLive running. And what LoomieLive does is it renders these avatars and imitates a virtual camera, which then in any of these apps, like if we were in a Skype call right now, all I would have to do is go to settings and look for camera, and it might give you an option right now of FaceTime camera or Logitech camera. In that same list, you would see a LoomieLive camera.
Oh, I get it.
And all you have to do is select that camera and you're in. So it's fairly straightforward in all these video call applications where you just have to select your input camera source.
I got it. Finally, pricing.
Yes, this is free for users to use. We hope to integrate this more natively into video conferencing and live streaming applications. And in that case, we are hoping to get some licensing. But for the user, it's basically free. You can, download and use the app. You can use the Loomie mobile application to build your avatars. And we are hoping to really get everyone using this. To see this in action, please go to our webpage. It's loom.ai, and you will see a link there for LoomieLives.
All right, so it's simply loom.ai, LOOM.ai, and then you can see it in action there. And the product, again, is called LoomieLive. We've been chatting with Mahesh Ramasubramanian. Thank you so much for your time. Really compelling technology here. I'm hoping it comes to Windows very soon, and good luck with the launch of it.
Thanks so much, Mark.
And thank you for tuning into Tech It Out, everyone, whether you're listening to this on your local radio station or perhaps in podcast form. Either way, thrilled to have you along. And thank you to our title sponsor, ASUS. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. Check out asus.com/US/radio for all their gear. That's asus.com/US/radio. Stay healthy, everyone. Looking forward to catching up with you next weekend on Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.